In this video, we're going to add a sound player and a music player. We're also going to set up a script that will do it for us and be allowing us to use some features later on with that. So being able to make a volume control slider and so on in an options menu. That's not going to be this video, but we will set up the code that we'll use at this video. So first thing that we're going to do, I've already written all the script for this. There is only a script for this. There's no scene or anything like that. What I'm going to do here is I've already made it, like I said, but in your scripts folder, you can create a folder called sound_player. Create a script called sound_player. And if you open that script up, there'll be nothing in it, but I've already got this written down. So let's go down, and here's kind of where I test to see whether my students are actually listening to what I'm saying or just pausing the video and copying the code. Because if they copy these music tracks in, they won't have these music tracks, and I'm not going to give them to them because these are paid files that I own. So you won't just be able to get them. You may be able to get something similar from itch.io, but you won't be able to get these unless you actually purchase them. So let's have a look at what we've got here. The top is just extends node. That's the kind of default thing that comes in all the time. But then I've got a variable called music, and this is an onReady. So this is going to create this when the script loads. onReady music equals, it's an audio stream player .new. That just creates a new instance of it. Let's look at what the audio stream player does. The audio stream player plays back audio non-positionally. There is an audio stream player 2D, which will dampen the sound depending on how far away the sound object is from the center of the screen. Quite handy, but the way that we're going to be doing things is just calling something, so there's not going to be any need for it. Plus, I'm not going to have sound effects for all the different things happening because it would just be too much noise going on. So we're just going to have music and sounds for the player. So let's go ahead and go back to our script, sound player. Now, I'm going to come back to these later, okay? So don't worry about them at the moment. We're going to use dictionaries to keep track of our sound so that we can load sounds in here or just reference the sounds, then we can load them when we play them. But we're going to use dictionaries to give the names, the sound files, short names. We'll come back to that in a minute. So you can just skip that. You only want to get this bit down. Then I've got variables for music decibel equals 1, sound decibel equals 1. 1 is the default value, but later on we are going to be going to make some changes to it so that we can actually turn the volume up and down. It is in decibels for some reason, and it kind of scales. So it's not like 40 decibels here. It's like 1, which I'm not sure how it scales. I'm not really 100% sure how this part works. I just know that 1 is like a normal volume, and then 0 you can't hear it. So anywhere in between that seems to be fine. Now this function here, change music decibel, and it receives a value. We're going to use that later to call it. So we're going to have a little slider that the player can slide backwards and forwards, and that'll change the music decibel from a maximum down to a minimum. And all it does is it just sets the music decibel to be that. We haven't actually finished this code here because we would need to do something like this. Music.decibel. I can't remember what it is, but there is something else that we need to do here. So we can leave this code here for now because we'll come back to it when we do the options menu. Same with this one here. This is changing the sound effects. So the sound decibel equals that. Linear to decibel. The reason it says linear to decibel is because the volume sliders we're going to make are going to go from 0 to 100, but we need to turn that to the in-game decibel value. So that's what we do there. Now, function ready. This is the music player. This is essentially what we're doing with the music. Music.stream equals load music tracks. This is referring to this here. And then main. So the way a dictionary works, it's kind of like an array, except it has a key and a value. So the key for this is title track, and then the value is the name of that file in that case. The key here is main, and the value is that. So what I'm saying here is load from the music tracks dictionary the value associated with the main key, which is this one here. So load, if I click on load, it's going to say loads a resource from the file system located at path. It's not like preload, it's going to load it on the fly. So it's not going to keep it in memory, which we don't really want it to do. I'll go back to here. Then I'm going to add child music. So I'm just adding this music player to the scene tree. And then I'm going to play it. And then this was just me testing because I couldn't get it to work because I forgot to actually add it to the tree. So music.play. Now, if I go ahead, I'm going to go up to project settings, and you will probably get an error here. And I'll come back and we'll jump into what the audio is going to look like in a sec. So we'll go project settings, and I've got this set to auto load. Sound player, there it is. So there's not actually an object for this. This is just a script that's always loaded, and we can use it to play sound and music at different times. So this one here, we'll get to this down here, but instead what you're going to want to do is import some kind of sound file. So I've got these ones here, and they're in my sound effects folder, in a folder called music. And if I double click on it, you'll see it brings up the import options on the left and some settings on the right hand side. Now I want the music to just loop forever. These are specific loops, so there's no gap in between it. They just get to the end and immediately it starts up again at the start. Now what I need to do, this will not be turned on by default. I need to click the files or files that I want. In this case it's these four. Click loop and click re-import. Once that's done, I'm going to go over to this side and change the loop mode to forward, not disabled. So forward. And I don't know if I need to re-import it again, but I did anyway, just to make sure. So you want to click loop, change it to forward, and then re-import it. If this doesn't go away, if this goes away, then make sure that you import it so it stays there. Otherwise, you won't be able to loop the sounds. We don't actually want to loop the sound effects, just the music. So you can find some music. There's plenty on itch.io. Just find any song. Don't spend more than a few minutes doing it, because you can do that later when you're actually getting ready to make the game proper, rather than just the testing stuff we've done. And then sound effects are the same. So sound effects, except if I load a sound effect, you'll see the loop is not on this one. So if I go and load the jump one, I'm actually not sure if I've got my desktop audio recording, so we'll see what happens. Jump one sound, where is it? Oh, it's under the player. Double click it, click on the, it's down underneath my thing here, but if you click it, it'll show. It's pretty low. That's because I don't have my headphones on, but I can see it is recording the desktop audio there. So you should be able to hear that sound. That's the jump sound I've got, and then there's a landing sound. No, that's not the landing sound, that's still the jump. Just a little kind of padded thing. And then there's a hit sound for when the player dies. So I've got these three sound effects in here. You're going to need to find your own sound effects. Now the sound player, I've got a function here called play sound effect, SFX. So I send it a sound effect to play, and then what it does is it goes through these steps. So it creates a new audio stream player called sound. We set the stream to load from the sound effects the name of the file. So in this case, if I send through jump, it's going to load that one. If I send through land, it's going to load that one, etc. Then I add child to the scene and play that. Now this is a little bit different to the music one, because we don't just want to have a whole lot of sound audio stream players taking up the memory of the computer when they're not actually being played. So what we do is we just wait until the sound is finished and then get rid of it. We get rid of that audio stream player. We could have some kind of system where we just have one sound in here and we constantly change the stream here. I'm not sure what's most efficient, but this seems to work fine. It wouldn't be difficult to modify it so that it's not actually creating a new sound audio stream player every time, but this works fine and I've had no issues with it. So I can go ahead and test this. I'll make sure I'm on my world. The music might be really loud. I haven't played around with the volume control like I said yet. The music might be really loud, so fair warning, turn your headset down. I know that the sound effects are not that loud, but you can hear them. So if I run this, I've got the music. And there is a sound effect. It's a jump. Now yours, if you're testing it now, you should get the the music done, but you probably won't have the sound effect playing because you haven't told it where to play. The music does play when this is loaded, but the sound effect we need to tell it where to play. So if I go to my player code, I have to find it. Here it is. Okay, so initially I tried adding it into the state handler. So I tried adding it here, and I'll just show you what happens when we do that. Every time I jump, it plays the sound through every single frame that is in the air. And that is because, if you remember, we're constantly updating the animation, and it matches the animation, and if we're in the state of jump, it does this. But I feel like I can actually just put that. Do I not have start jump? I do. It's there. I feel like I can put that here, and let's see if it works. Quite hear it because I don't have the headphones on, but I can hear that it's not doing what it was doing before. So I'm pretty sure if I put that here, that is fine. But it only works in this case because start jump only happens for one frame, and then it deals with some other things. So what I had was, I had actually put it down here at that input. If input is action just press jump and is on the floor, or rope release, I play the sound effect jump. Now, I don't have a bit at the moment where I have landed, so that would be something different. I've got to get rid of some of this stuff here. I don't have a bit where the player has just landed yet, and so I would have to check that. And I also don't have the death thing, but we can do that down here. So if is in group deadly, we can go sound, not there, right here, sound player, dot play, sound effect, dead. And so this will play the sound effect dead. And even if it resets the scene, that sound effect is still going to play out because it is part of the auto load singleton. So this exists separate to the scene. And I'm pretty sure I made it called dead. I did make it called dead. All right, so that's how our sound player is going to work. You can add multiple sounds in there. You can add multiple music tracks. We're going to come back to this and use it throughout the next few videos. Although if you just want to ignore this one completely, then you can. It's kind of entirely optional. You don't really need to have the audio player in the game for it to work. There are other ways to do it as well. You could just have the audio stream player on the player, a separate audio stream player for every sound, and then play that particular one when they jump. I think this is a bit more robust, a bit more usable long term, and there's a few more things that we can do with it, such as changing the sound and so on, rather than having just a set sound level. So we'll look at those things in the, I don't know what came out then. We'll look at those things in the next few videos. And these ones are really going to be optional. They're just kind of finishing up a few things. We're going to add a user interface and like a high score page as well, where you can see the fastest people to complete the level. So that's going to be coming up in the next few videos. Keep an eye out for those.